Alexandra George with Inside Ambition, and I'm here to talk to Gabby Remo. She's a second-year student at Drexel, and she's here to tell us her COVID story. Hi, Gabby. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm good. So why don't you start by just giving us a general overview of how this transition went for you?
Yeah, sure. So, like you said, I'm a sophomore at Drexel. I'm an international business and legal studies co-major. I'm a transfer student too to Drexel. I transferred during my freshman year, during the spring. So I obviously came to Drexel for the co-ops and everything that Philadelphia offers. And so COVID was obviously so unexpected, and many things in my life changed in terms of my co-op itself, but also my housing, my personal life, my own situation health-wise. And there was just a lot of wacky changes.
So how about we start with your whole co-op situation? How did that go down?
Sure. So it's kind of intertwined with housing. So as many Drexel students know, housing kind of got messed up because a lot of people were being told, you have to leave. They were sending email after email, which was just like so anxiety inducing.
Mm-hmm.
And with every single email that we got, it got more and more severe. So the first one was saying, hey, you might have to pack your things, but you can come back. And then as they proceeded, it became you have to leave in a few weeks or 2 weeks. Then it became a week. Then it became that Saturday of the same week that they were sending all these emails.
Mm-hmm.
So it was entirely crazy. I'm from out of state. I live in northern New Jersey. So I'm about 3 hours with some change away, especially with traffic to Philadelphia. And my co-op is in Philly. So being displaced from housing just wasn't an option for me.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't appeal, which they ended up denying. But that kind of shifted my co-op. My co-op ended up getting delayed, as many co-ops did. And I haven't started yet, but I'm still on track to start.
So were you living in Drexel housing? You weren't in ACC?
No, yeah, I was in Drexel housing. I lived in Stiles in Center City
Mm-hmm.
with my two roommates.
And you said they didn't offer you an appeal?
No, so they ended up offering my one roommate the appeal. And they said that due to something that my advisor said or something that had to do with my co-op, they denied my appeal, even though I had told them that, my co-op was still going to happen. They just need to decide if they're going to do it remotely due to the whole situation.
So you said your co-op hasn't started, but where is it standing right now? Is the plan to be virtual, or how's that going to work?
Yeah, so they wanted to do it remotely. That was definitely something that they looked into. But unfortunately, just because I believe that there's international students who are going to be on the co-op, so either they have left the country or they're just not able to start remotely, especially with their hours. So they just decided that it wasn't really the best in their interest. But yeah, I'm supposed to be starting May 26th. I'm not too sure, especially since that's really coming close, but
Yeah.
we'll see.
Was that a date? Was that the original date they gave you for your start time when they pushed it back, or is this a date that they've continued to push back?
Yeah, it's a date that they continue to push back. So originally, like for everybody's co-ops, it was March 30th. And then I believe it was April 27th, or around somewhere then.
Mm-hmm.
About a week before that was supposed to happen, they ended up pushing it to May and said that is tentative, so we really don't know when that's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Allegedly, it's supposed to be May.
When were you able to secure your co-op? Was this something that you had secured in A round, or was this a last minute kind of thing?
Yeah, I was A round, which was so lucky just because I had heard so many stories about freshmen or first time co-ops just having a lot of trouble getting in A round, and everybody told me not to get my hopes up. And especially with a law firm like I'm working with, Morgan Lewis and Bacchius,
Yeah.
it's an amazing opportunity. And I was so excited to get it during A round. But yeah, it was kind of, I think, in December when I interviewed, and then I think I got the job in early January.
Oh, awesome. That's good, because I know a lot of people who had C round co-ops really got messed up. So at least you have something. How have you been keeping busy without having your co-op right now?
Sure. So for me, I don't have school just because, like I said, like we as co-op students aren't, doing our co-ops. Some of them got canceled, like my boyfriend's got canceled. And for me, I don't really have much to do. For a long time, I was focusing on my health. I was recovering from being super ill right when all this COVID stuff happened. I've been trying to learn my native language. I'm from the Philippines. I was born there, and I've been trying to speak more with my family. So that's been something really interesting for me.
That's awesome.
Yeah, become more conversational with them. So
Wow, that's really awesome to hear that you're trying to stay busy and try something new.
yeah,
You mentioned you had a little bit of a health scare when this all went down. Do you want to elaborate on that?
yeah. It was super scary. So in Philadelphia, right before everything happened, and we were told to leave. Came down and I just felt extremely sick. I'm an immunocompromised person, so I'm used to getting sick all year round. I tend to catch any cold that comes into
Mm-hmm.
my field, but I felt extremely sick. I couldn't breathe out of my chest, and I was going to the Drexel Health Clinic, which they see me often, again, just because I am immunocompromised. They see my face often. They all know my name. And I kept going back, and they started to get a little bit frustrated with me just because I was revisiting, and they kept assuring me that it's not the coronavirus. You probably just have another virus. We just don't know what it is, because I tested negative for everything else.
Mm-hmm.
But that's another thing, is that I advocated for myself because I physically knew that I was not well.
Mm-hmm.
So the day that I moved out of Stiles Hall, I immediately went to a doctor in New Jersey, and they did a scan of my lungs, and unfortunately I had bacterial pneumonia.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm really sorry to hear that.
Yeah, no, don't be sorry. Yeah.
But you're feeling better now?
Absolutely. Yeah, it was a lot of weeks of just, a lot of pain. It was definitely, like I said, one of the worst illnesses I've ever had.
Mm-hmm.
Those days I felt like I couldn't get out of bed. I was really weak for a while, at least for a month. And my health kept getting worse. I kept taking different rounds of antibiotics, and they weren't working. I was going back to get scans of my lungs, and it was stagnant. There was no improvement. And every single day I just felt weaker, and I was just really scared, especially in a time like this when so many people are losing their lives.
Mm-hmm.
And the COVID tests are very delayed just because of the influx of how many people are coming to get them.
Mm-hmm.
So I was just really scared, honestly, for my life. It was one of the most life-changing experiences I've ever been through.
Yeah. I'm sure that there's a lot of people going through some life-changing experiences. How have you stayed positive through it all?
Yeah, so on a personal level, I'm a Christian, so I have a faith in God, and that was something that really brought me through, because there was nothing that I could physically do here
Mm-hmm.
to get myself better besides take care of my body, do what I could, take the antibiotics, take my fruits and vegetables. But there wasn't anything physically here I could do to speed up the process of getting better, and I had to rely on something supernatural in order to get me through something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But also just other things that come with prayer is just meditation, self-reflection. There's a lot of things that come to you when you take a step back,
Mm-hmm.
really reflect on what's happening, reflect that you have no control over the situation whatsoever, and you have to rely that whatever you believe in, God, yourself, the universe, has that taken care of, and there's nothing you can do to put your hand in that. So
Yeah, it's great perspective. Are there any words of advice that you have for students that might be going through something similar or something completely different to your situation, but who are struggling through this time as well?
Sure. First off, I think that to take away from my story, the first thing is to advocate for yourself. I advocated for myself not only through just appealing for housing, getting straight answers as to why I can't stay there,
Mm-hmm.
reaching out to who I needed to, but also medically. If doctors aren't going to always get it right. They're the frontliners, and they're doing as much as they can. They're getting so many patients coming in, and I applaud every single person who works in healthcare right now.
Mm-hmm.
So many of my family members work in healthcare, so I completely understand that they're not always going to get it right.
Mm-hmm.
If you feel something is wrong, advocate for yourself. Make sure you're going to the doctor. Make sure you're getting a second opinion, because had I not gone to the doctor for a second opinion, I don't know what would have happened to my health, because especially with something as serious as this, as bacterial pneumonia,
Mm-hmm.
it's something your body can recover from by itself, not easily. And then just secondly, I know a lot of students are in a bad position right now. I don't know your exact story. I don't know exactly what you're going through. If you're going through losses in your family, we as a community, as a Drexel community, mourn with you, and we're so sorry. Or if you're just going through a lot of stuff mentally, for me, I struggle with anxiety and depression. That's
Mm-hmm.
something that I know a lot of students struggle with. And when you're in quarantine, it's hard to to really put yourself in the perspective to win.
Yeah.
But I think that the biggest thing is that you can't lose to yourself. There's nothing else in this world that you can control right now. Like I said before, it's up to God, it's up to the universe, it's up to the stars, whatever you believe in. You have no hand in what happens outside, but you have a hand in what happens inside. So you have to make sure that you're advocating for yourself, fighting for your mental health, fighting to position yourself to win. And it's just like, just a really tough thing for me is it's like, I was so scared to not be grateful for my health. You know, like I was so sad that I was missing my co-op, but I had to realize that, you know, like my health comes first, but you can live in the in-between. You know, you can mourn the loss of your plans that didn't go your way, but also simultaneously being grateful for your health. I think that that's something that all students need to know, all faculty, staff, whoever's watching needs to know. And, you know, you have to keep fighting. Like, as long as you are breathing, and like in a literal sense for me, as long as you are breathing, you have to keep fighting. Yeah. There's no other option. You have the opportunity to.
That was really well said. I always like to say, control what you can control. And in times like this, it seems like nothing is in our control, but that's when you just got to take charge of your own life and do what you can. Thank you so much for talking with me today and sharing your story. I know that it's going to help to inspire a lot of Drexel students, so thank you.
Yeah, of course. Thank you so much for having me. I hope that I could have helped anybody in a position like mine or likewise not. So thank you so much for having me on.
Yeah, of course.